I'd like to take a minute today to reflect upon traumatic experiences and the reason for exploring them within a therapeutic process to support ourselves to process and encode these traumatic experiences in a way that's digestible for ourselves, that doesn't lead to a triggering process. For many of you, and for myself, events that were traumatic have took place in our lives. And when a familiar song plays, driving past a location or a word, we may have flashbacks or triggers that activate our neural pathways, but our sense of experience in the world as if we were right back there when it happened. Perhaps we feel the same way, a panic, a numbness, a sadness, an anger. Perhaps we have intrusive thoughts or imagery occurring. And I would like to take a little moment to reflect upon the wardrobe analogy. When traumatic events occur in our life, they can be so unbearable, so unfathomable, so distressing, that our brain doesn't encode them in a linear fashion as it would a normal day-to-day event. And if we think about a wardrobe, it's the equivalent of stuffing the memory in the wardrobe. And every time we hear a triggering stimulus, those wardrobe doors just fly open and everything comes tumbling out. The sensation we had, the images that occurred, the memory, the behaviors, and the emotions that we felt during that time, they all come tumbling out the wardrobe. And so the process of exploring traumatic experiences within a therapeutic relationship, within counseling work, is to neatly organize and arrange such experiences so when a trigger does occur, the whole event doesn't come tumbling out the wardrobe. It's the metaphorical equivalent to putting the shoes away on the bottom, followed by the socks neatly above it, the trousers folded, t-shirts on the hangers, whatever it may be. And so when a triggering stimulus, a word, a song, a place, a person, does emerge into our experience of life in the here and now, we're not taken back to the there and then with everything tumbling out the wardrobe. So how is it we do that? How do we process and encode such distressing times in a way that doesn't lead to triggering in the future? Well, first of all, let's reflect on how a memory, an experience, an event is encoded that's traumatic. Well, it's fragmented, which is one of the reasons that flashbacks occur, unwanted imagery, unwanted thoughts begin to emerge in our day-to-day life once a trigger pops up. And so we can think about the CYBAM model. Sensations, imagery, memory, behavior, affect, an American word for emotion. And through a process of reflecting by ourselves, perhaps sat in nature, perhaps in a therapeutic relationship, perhaps with a trusted friend or confidant, we can begin to process, look at, explore in a safe and competent environment with safety and stabilization as the key. We can reflect upon what sensations did emerge. And when we're talking about sensations, we're talking about our senses, our vision, our hearing, our smells, our touch, our taste. In cases that were perhaps physically painful, there may be a metallic taste perhaps of blood, or a ringing in the ears from a loudness, perhaps a funny smell, a horrific scene that won't appear to leave the imprint of the iris, or an unfamiliar touch, perhaps an experience in the water, nearly drowning, and the sensation of being submerged in the sea, the ocean, in a body of water. A sensation. Imagery. Those images that we've seen, the memory, how it is ordered. It's often not a coherent, linear story that gets encoded through these traumatic experiences, but skipping and jumping, and perhaps in a little bit of a bundle of what came first and what came after. The behavior, how we behaved. Did we run? Did we fight? Did we freeze? And the affect, the emotion. Were we scared? Were we angry? Were we helpless? Were we numb? Were we sad? Were we depressed? Were we seeking support? And if we think about the wardrobe analogy, when we delve back into these traumatic experiences in our lives, we're not doing so for the sake of it. We're doing so to arrange and organize and encode these fragmented memories and pack them up, fold them away, and put them away neatly into the wardrobe, so when triggering responses occur, they don't all come falling out. Let's think about memory, for example, in that Cyban model. We begin to piece the event together in a linear order. What happened first, what happened last, what happened in the middle. Beginning, middle, and end. The sensations, the images that occurred at the beginning of the experience or event, through to the middle, through to the end. The same with behaviors, the same with images, the same with the emotions we felt. And by doing this, we encode the memories in a way that's digestible, understandable, and that's what we call processing. Processing the experience, processing the event, as opposed to the event popping up due to a triggering stimulus. You often see in this modern epoch sensitivity warnings on the start of soap operas or television programs. If you are triggered, look away, or something like this. And, what's it really saying there? It's saying there might be something within this piece of media that may jolt a response inside of ourselves and put us back into the there and then when the traumatic event occurred, as opposed to the here and now where we are right now today. And that's because the memory is fragmented and hasn't been encoded in a linear fashion as day-to-day events have. That cupboard door opens and all the thoughts, feelings, memories, unwanted imagery, all comes tumbling out, which can be frightful, and it can significantly deregulate ourselves and move ourselves out of our window of tolerance. Think for a loud bang, for example, it might be someone shutting a door or the wind blowing the window to, and it can give us a jolt, it can give us a fright, and it can put us right back at that car accident scenery where there was a loud bang. And when that occurs, our autonomous nervous system kicks in, our limbic system activates, and a fight and flight response occurs, moving ourselves out of the window of tolerance where we have optimal ability to maneuver in the world, and it puts us back into the there and then where we were at the time of the experience, which is not helpful for anyone, especially in a working environment or a family environment. And to bring this short discussion to a point of synopsis, what I'm really trying to say here is we all have experiences that were painful and difficult, and when they reach the point of unbearableness, often through external factors that we just simply weren't prepared for, those can be traumatic. When we do experience traumatic events, they are encoded in fragments, they're fragmented. And this means when a triggering stimulus, a stimulus that is similar or familiar to what occurred in the traumatic event occurs, we go into the place we were when that event occurred. And through a therapeutic process, counseling, reflecting on our own, meditating, prayer perhaps, we can slowly take those fragments and piece them together like a jigsaw or a mosaic, so that that triggering stimulus doesn't lead us going back to the there and then, and we remain firmly in the here and now. It won't take the pain away, but it might take the sting away. And the tools that we utilize to do that is the sensations, the imagery, the memory, the behavior, and the emotion that occurred during that moment. Those are the pieces of the jigsaw, and we must put them back into an ordered beginning, middle, and end fashion, manner, an ordered manner. And this is the equivalent of tidying up the wardrobe of your mind, so everything doesn't fall out of the wardrobe when the wardrobe swings open, but instead the wardrobe swings open. That trigger will still have some type of response within us, but when the wardrobe doors of our mind open, everything doesn't tumble out. We know where the shoes are, we know the images we saw, we know how we felt, we know the emotions, we know the memories. We can think of a clear structure, a beginning, a middle, and end. We know the sensations that occurred, and we know how we behaved. And so when the wardrobe doors of our mind swing open, we can see our shoes, our socks, our trousers, our shirts, our jackets, our ties, all neatly arranged. And we can look back at it and say, yes, that happened, but that's not what's happening now. That's not what's happening today. And so, to answer your question, what is the point of looking back or reliving or rehashing some of these experiences from our deepest and darkest moments? Well, the reason behind it is to process those moments so that we stay firmly grounded in the here and now, and we're able to move forwards in life with an acknowledgement and a knowledge of the past, and to use that as fertile soil for awareness of ourselves, awareness of others, awareness of the world around us, and best practice, knowing ourselves better, of where we want to be in life, how we want to be in life, who are we in life. And those questions, who are we, how do we want to be, and where do we see ourselves, are more difficult to ascertain when we are stuck in a loop or a cycle of reliving the past. In a few words, processing trauma within counselling or while reflecting on our own is the process of tidying up and organising the wardrobe of our mind, so when we are triggered and the wardrobe door swings open, all of our memories don't fall out on top of us. Thank you for your time. I appreciate time is limited, important and valuable. And your choice to sit here and learn a little bit about yourself and reflect upon the life that you've lived, I appreciate that time and I thank you for it. So what does that mean for us? What can we do? What do we take away from this? Well, we take away, next time you feel triggered or drawn back to the there and then, a familiar experience from a traumatic event that's occurred in your life, take a pause, take a moment, take a breather. Perhaps go somewhere quiet, take yourself out of the room. Breathe that fresh oxygen. Pause and bring yourself back into the moment What day is it? What time is it? What month is it? What year is it? And really bring into your consciousness the here and now as opposed to the there and then. It's not then, it's now. I'm safe. I'm alive. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.